Hello, welcome to Web of Stories. My name is Melinda, and I am here with my January wrap-up. We are through the first month of the year, and my reading here in January went really well. So I'm going to be using the same format that I used last year in my wrap-ups. It really helps me to keep from babbling if I have kind of an outline to follow. I do have it up here on my computer, so I'm going to be kind of looking over here. I'm not trying to be rude, just over here. So let's get started. In January, I finished 16 books. I should say I read and finished 16 books because I came into January not carrying anything over. And I didn't DNF any. I wasn't tempted to DNF anything, but I didn't DNF anything. My average rating was 3.6, which is a B+ in my mind. So that's good. Yeah. And of the 16 books I read, 11 were in print, 4 were digital, and 1 was an audiobook. I'm a slow audiobook listener. So let me go through the genres and a little clarification on the genres here. First of all, I use the currently reading Patreon spreadsheet that's created by Katie Cobb. It is fantastic. If you don't listen to the currently reading podcast, highly recommend it. And if you do listen to it, their Patreon is fantastic. It is like, I belong to a number of Patreons, and that's the one that I feel I get the most for my money is the currently reading podcast. And one of the many things I get from that is access to this Google Sheet tracking that Katie Cobb, who's one of the hosts, does, and it's amazing. And she improves it every year. And one of the improvements this year is that I can put things down for more than one genre. So I put in genre, and then I can also enter in a secondary genre. So if you count up the number of books that I have here for each genre, it's going to be more than 16. Also, the first one that's on here is classic. I do not consider classics to be a genre. So that's always a secondary genre. So just so you know. But let's go through it. I had 2 that I would consider classics. And again, for me, a classic is a book that's over 50 years old and still in print. That's how I define a classic. I had 4 that were contemporary or general fiction, 1 fantasy, 2 historical fiction, 1 horror, 5 mystery, which is not surprising because mystery is probably my biggest genre, 1 thriller, 1 nonfiction history, and 1 memoir biography. So that's the breakdown of my books. And then if you're new here, the way I rate my books is I give them a letter grade. A down to F, and the letter grades then have a star rating that corresponds to them. I just think I think in the letter grade, and then I have to put a star rating into like Storygraph and Goodreads, and that's just the way that works. Everything in like the book rating language is based on stars, so I have to convert my language to that. But these I'm going to go through by grade. So I only gave one. My lowest grade was a C, and I only gave 1 book a C, and that is The Winter's Tale by William Shakespeare. Now, if you've been watching The Bard Room, which is, I put those out on Wednesdays with Will. It's my Shakespeare project where I am reading through all of Shakespeare's plays, 10 a year because I'm taking 2 months off each year. And this was the first one we did, randomly drawn out of a tin. And my initial reaction of this was like, oh, okay, that's a B. That wasn't horrible. But Shakespeare's plays are not actually meant to be read. They're meant to be performed and watched. You know what I mean? So once I saw a performance of this, which I saw an adaptation from the Royal Shakespeare Company in the 90s, I think 1996 is when it was done. And then I read a retelling, which I will get to, that was set in modern day. I realized that what I had seen in this play as I was reading it was not really accurate, and what I ended up seeing was not something that I liked. So this got lowered down to a C. And you can watch the Bard Room videos if you want to know more. And then I gave 1 book a C+, and that's The Good House by Tananarive. I gave my copy to a friend of mine in my book club because this is for my Marginalized Readers book club. I just on the pull for that, forgot. But she was having trouble getting a copy of it, so I gave her my copy. And it's not a book I'm going to keep because obviously I gave it a C+. It was I liked the story. I thought the story was really good. I just thought it needed a better editor because that book did not need to be that long. And there were plots in it, or subplots that did not need to be there. Okay, I gave 3 books a B. The first one was So Late in the Day, The Stories of Men and Women by Claire Keegan. And I'm going to be a little bit honest on this one. Claire Keegan is a fantastic writer. And I think that the reason this got a B instead of an A is because what I had read by Claire Keegan so far was of a different tone than what was in this book. And that was a bit jostling to me. And also when I go to Claire Keegan, I want a kind of different story. So a lot of that's on, that's all on me. It is on me. I will say these were incredible. These were very well written stories. They just are, if you've only read Foster and what's the other one? Not So Late in the Day. Small Things Like These. You're going to be a little, when you read this, because that's how I was. So, but yeah, still really well written. And then the next one I gave a B to was The Perfect Nanny by Leila Slimani. This is translated from the French. Slimani is actually a Moroccan author. This is a European style thriller, which is different than an American style thriller, which I really appreciated that. I liked seeing that difference. My biggest problem with this book is I was really frustrated with the parents. And as a parent, that's where that frustration came. I think maybe someone who's not a parent might have a different experience with this book, but there you go. I will say, if you want to see what a non-American thriller feels like, because it is very different, this is a good place to start because it's everywhere. This is a Penguin book. It's easy to get this book. It's short, and it's a really fast read. Okay. Oh, and then my third of 3 Bs was The Gap of Time by Janette Winterson, which is the retelling of The Winter's Tale. And I also kind of feel a little bit weird about giving this one a B because I didn't really know how to grade it. Well, I had problems with it. My problems were actually with the source material, not with this. So the things that I disliked, it's hard to separate. Was that really the book or not? I mean, so I ended up giving it a B more because I gave it Winter's Tale a C. I wanted to give it a higher grade than the play. So, but Janette Winterson, by the way, fantastic writer, beautiful language. She did the best she could with that mess of a play. The Winter's Tale is a late Shakespeare play, and I think you can tell. So, yeah. Okay, I had 3 books that I gave a B+ to. The first one was 24 Hours in Ancient Athens, A Day in the Life of the People Who Live There by Philip Matyszak. I read this for Historathon, and I liked it. It's in 24 chapters, so 1 chapter for each hour, and you look at a different person. And it's really, these are not famous people, although there are famous people who float in and out of these stories, but the focus of these stories are just on everyday people. And I like that. I thought that was really interesting. My issue with it is, again, probably an issue with me more than that, is that I'm a huge short story reader. So when I get something like this that is in short story-like form, I start trying to read it like a short story, and I kind of came up against a wall with that because that's not what the goal of this book is. So it's still a good book. I would actually recommend this to anyone who wants like sort of an easy way into history about ancient Athens. Just maybe for me, I needed to put myself in a better mindset first, realized what I was getting into and know myself a little bit more so that I could be better prepared for it. Okay, that one was over there. The next one was Hid from Our Eyes, which is number 9 in the Claire Ferguson, Russ Van Alstyne mystery series by Julia Spencer-Fleming. As of right now, this is the most recent book, although it ends on a cliffhanger, so there, gosh darn, better be more. This came out in 2020, I think. So she's not an author who puts a book out every year. There were at one point 6 years between books because she had stuff going on in her life. So, you can't count on this coming out every year, but it was good. It was B+. It was good. Definitely not one to don't jump in at number 9. Start at number 1 because there is plot that goes through all, and you want to be at the beginning of the plot, but also the first one's the best one. So, yeah, it was fine. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it for what it was. And then, my final B+ book was Partners in Crime. Whoops. By Agatha Christie. This is a short story collection. It's Tommy and Tuppence. A's, I usually give short story collections A's. And this one got a B+ because Tommy and Tuppence are not my favorite. I'll be honest there. I mean, they get, I think I do best with them in short story form, but they do get annoying. And yeah. So, but the stories are fine. They're fine. It's good. It's just, you know, they're not my favorite detective characters in Agatha Christie. I had 4 books that I gave an A to. The first one's a little bit controversial. Apparently, people have strong feelings about this. But I gave an A to In the Woods by Tana French. I did a whole video on this. I will tag it down below up somewhere. You can find it easily. Read the comments because people have really strong feelings. I love that. I love that people have strong feelings about things. I am like the one person who's probably like, I don't really know yet. But yeah, if you want to know more about what I thought of In the Woods, go watch that video. And then the next one was Murder in Mesopotamia by Agatha Christie. This was my Agatha Christie novel for this month. An A is probably honestly a bit high, but the deal with this one is it's kind of ridiculous. The murder in it is ridiculous. But I had already seen the adaptation of this, so I already knew all that. I already knew it was ridiculous. And so I was able to read this without really worrying about the mystery because it wasn't a mystery to me. And there were, you know, in the writing, the narrator in this book is a nurse named Amy Leatherin. And she's delightful. And there's, you know, that sort of stuff was fun. And so I really enjoyed my experience reading this book. Probably would not have enjoyed it if I had never seen the adaptation. I probably would have come out thinking this is absolutely ridiculous. But since I already knew it was ridiculous, it was fine. There you go. Give it an A. Okay, my next one was my Book of the Month selection, which is Mercury by Amy Jo Burns. This is a very kind of slow study of a family in the Rust Belt. I liked it. It is very slow. I will say I could see myself reading it at a different time, not in a different mindset, and not liking it. I think you have to be able to go into something and be okay with it being all about the characters and not much about the plot. I mean, there is plot, but it's really a character book. So yeah, I would recommend it if that's something that you want to read, but I enjoyed it. I was in the right space to read it. And then my final A was Snowblind by Ragnar Jónasson. I really enjoyed this. The only reason why it's not an A+ is because there's some like debut novel-ish kind of things in it. Just enough, a few things to bring it down from an A+ to an A, but it was still really good. Definitely going to read on more in this series. This is not the first Jónasson I've read, although this is his debut novel. The first Jónasson I read was Reykjavik, which he co-wrote with the Prime Minister of Iceland. But he's a good writer and I liked his mystery, so I will definitely keep going in this one. Okay. Move my thing down here. I had 4 books that I gave an A+ to this month. The first one I have, but I don't have because it's somewhere with my daughter. And that is 1,000 Ships by Natalie Haynes. She's currently reading this. So I loved it. I thought it was great. I have no qualms about handing it to my 14-year-old daughter. She loved it. She's totally into like Greek myths and history. So she's really enjoying it. It was my first Natalie Haynes that I've read, although I have been listening to her BBC show, Stand Up for the Classics with Natalie Haynes. This is definitely more serious, I think, than her show is. And I think it's more serious than maybe some of her other works, but it's beautiful. I loved it. So yeah, highly recommend Natalie Haynes. The next one is my audiobook for this month. And this one, so I have, you know, I say A+, but then I also have 5-star, which is above A+. I'm still thinking this might actually be a 5-star. I can't decide. I've decided to kind of think about it in a couple months after I've had time to sit with it, and I might move it to a 5-star. But this is Better Living Through Birding, Notes from a Black Man in the Natural World by Christian Cooper. He is the man from the Central Park incident. Google it. But that's such a small part of his story. He's an amazing person. He is a writer. This is not a ghost written book. His writing before had been, he wrote stories for he wrote comics. He wrote the first out Marvel character. It's just, he's very entertaining. He's warm. His narration style is very good, although I can tell from his voice, the actual timbre of his voice, he's not a narrator, but that's fine. Whatever. I mean, it's his memoir. I'm fine with that. If it were him reading a novel, that would be a different story, but it's his memoir, it's fine. But he comes across well. This book made me cry in parts because it has some messy family stuff in it. Beautiful. Loved it. It might be a 5-star. I'm not sure yet. And then I read The Heaven and Earth Grocery Store by James McBride. I got this out of the library. Loved it. I will say it was probably an A until the very end, and then it became an A+. But it's definitely a book you want to look at in the whole. There are a lot of characters in it, I will say that. So, and he does a good job of differentiating the characters, but if you're someone who struggles when there are a lot of characters, just kind of know that going in. But it was really good. I liked it. And then finally, The Uncommon Reader by Alan Bennett. This is a very slim little novella about Queen Elizabeth discovers when she's out walking her corgis. Is it corgi or corgi? I'm never quite sure. Anyway, she discovers a bookmobile and she becomes a reader. And this is about how reading can change your life and how it impacts your life. It's delightful. I loved it. I love stuff about the royals too. Being a good American, I like to watch that whole thing from outside. You guys can do your thing. I'm just over here watching it. As I said in my wrap up though, I am wondering what the experience would have been like. I don't think it would have been better or worse, but I do think it would have been different. What the experience would have been like if I had read this before she died, because this book was written before she died. I think it came out in 2004. Let me check that really super quick here. 2007. So quite a while before she died. Very interesting. I loved it. So those are the books that I read this. Oops, that goes over to this pile. I have piles. Those are the books that I read this month. Now let's get into some other things. As far as read-alongs and events, the only read-along I kind of did, or the event-ish thing, sorry, my nose is itchy, that I did this month was Historathon, and that was the 24 Hours in Ancient Greece. I am currently reading one about ancient Rome, so we're still going with that. We're in Q1. I haven't quite thought about what I'm going to do in Q2 yet, although I have gotten a recommendation about, I have to look exactly what the years are and see if the book I got a recommendation for is for Q2 or Q3, but we'll figure that out later. But yeah, that's the only thing I had going this month, other than, I should take that back. I did start my readathon. Well, there was the Bard Room. We did No One Liked the Winter's Tale. We did the Winter's Tale. And then, of course, I started my read-along of Les Miserables, where I'm doing one chapter a day. So I will finish that one on December 30th. So that's what was going on this month as far as read-alongs and events. Now, as for my stats, my goal for this year is 165 books. And I've read 16, which puts me, I think, 2 or 3 books ahead of schedule. So that's good. That's good. Now, I've said this before, but my whole thing with my yearly reading goal, that Goodreads goal, is not to strive for more, but it's to find the number where I kind of finish it in, say, like the first part to middle of December. I'm just trying to find that number. And last year it was 144 books, and I think I finished in the beginning of October. So I raised it up a bit. We're just trying to figure out where it is. That number is not pushing me. It's just sort of trying to find a measurement. Now, if you saw my goals, as far as TBR goals, my TBR goal is to have one less to end the year on December 31st, 2024, to have at least one less book in my owned TBR than I had on December 31st, 2023. On December 31st, 2023, I had 829 books in my owned TBR. As of January 31st, I had 828. So I am down one. Yay. And I will let you know how that kind of breaks down. I have 231 print books, and that is down one. Now this is net because books came in and I read books, so it's net. But I'm down one book in print. Digital, I have 525. It was attack of the $1.99s. What can I say? 525, which is down one. And that one came from a Kindle book because I read in the woods. My Kobo book number stayed the same because anything I read on my Kobo this year, well, Les Miserables, I'm still reading it, but my Kobo books were library books. And then my audio actually went up. Now, audio, I will tell you what I did was I got through Audible, I got the Iliad and the Odyssey by Emily Wilson, those audiobooks. And I debated whether or not to even put them on my TBR because they're actually more like for the family, but I ended up doing it. So that's why that went up one. So because I added 2 and I listened to 1. I listened to, Better Living Through Burning. So that's how that goes. So as far as those goals, I'm doing, 1 month down. I'm doing well. We'll see what happens in February. Anyway, that is my month in January. Just let me know in the comments below how your month went. Was it a good month? Was it a bad month? whatever. Just let me know. Did you read a lot if you were snowed in? Did you not read anything if you were snowed in? Just let me know. Thank you very much. Like, subscribe, leave a comment, join my Discord, information down below. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.